Welcome to the College Basketball Net Profit Show, Monday, February 20th. Ian Cameron and Conor Mack with you, ready to break down the Monday slate. It was a exciting weekend of college basketball. Of course, we're getting ever so closer to March Madness. And I'll tell you what, Selection Sunday is now just 3 weeks away. Crazy, but true. Just 3 weeks away from knowing what the NCAA tournament field will be this weekend. So we're getting down to the crunch time, the best part of the college basketball season, the most exciting part. Conference tournaments will start next week with some of the smaller mid-major conferences, and then the following week, the bigger conferences will get involved. But yeah, we are at that time of year where college basketball is getting entertaining. I think we did pretty good on the Saturday. How was your weekend, Conor? How was the Saturday card? I think Kansas State was my best bet, Conor. It did not look good at halftime, but what a comeback by the Wildcats to take care of Iowa State on Saturday.
Yeah, I was on that. That was good. Some of the sides, Kentucky.
Yep.
Dude, totals. I got kind of hit. It was a roller coaster. The morning was good. It's just Saturdays have been wild for me this year a little bit. So it's down. But the best thing has been Sundays for me. But
Yep.
Sundays, it seems like the last month or so, they've just been rolling after the crazy Saturday. If you put everything into all 150 games, it is what it is. But
Yep.
let's roll. I'm ready to rock. Yeah, you talked about the conference tourneys coming up, day basketball. It should be exciting.
Yes, it definitely should be. We're looking forward to it. And we'll start now with the Monday card. Light slate as always. We'll go through all the main board games, and then we'll do Q&A and opinions on the added board. We will begin with a game that's starting actually in less than an hour from now, 3 p.m. local time, Pacific start time here. We've got UC San Diego and UC Davis, the Tritons and the Cal Davis Aggies here. We've got UC Davis 8.5-point home favorites, and the total 143 in this game. You look at this UCSD team. All of a sudden, it's been pretty damn competitive here of late. They've been on a point spread streak, the likes of which has been pretty impressive, 7-2 against the number in their last 9 games. And UC Davis kind of on the other end of it right now, where they've lost 3 of the last 4 games overall, at Riverside, at Santa Barbara, and at Irvine in their last game, although they did cover as dogs. They did also have a home win, but a non-cover against Northridge. But you look at this series history, it's been pretty much toward UC Davis, but it is worth noting 8 points or less were the margin of victory for UC Davis in all 3 of those head-to-head meetings, and including earlier this year, it was 78-70 for UC Davis. I think the plus points are worth a look here on the Tritons in this game, plus 8.5. It's come down just a bit. I still like it, the current number. I think UCSD, UC San Diego, plus 8.5. I like that side. Worth a look. What do you think here, Conor?
I do too. I've had a problem laying points with this Davis team for a while. I think this is too far. And UC San Diego hasn't been great. They've lost, but they've covered, like you talked about. They just got that win against Northridge. Whole lot of losses, but hanging in some of these games. That's the way I'd look. I'd take the 8.5 points here. Just roll with it. I just can't back Davis, the better team, and might win.
Yep.
But you're not going to find me laying 9 with them right now. I'll be off that.
No, exactly. I think it's definitely worth a look here. Triton's been playing better, more competitive basketball. Speaking of playing better, more competitive basketball, the back from the dead Louisville Cardinals taking on Duke here tonight. Duke 18-point home favorites, 137.5 the total. Classic situation in college basketball where a team that is just so bad for so long early in the season, and then late in the season, just when the chemistry starts to improve a little bit and the performance starts to improve a little bit, they are dramatically undervalued. And that's what we're seeing right now with Louisville. 5-1 ATS, their last 6 games. They've been a more competitive bunch. 3-point loss to Florida State. Outside of the Pitt game where they got blown out badly, they've been in every other game. 8-point loss to Miami. 3-point loss to Virginia. They beat Clemson 83-73 outright as 10.5-point underdogs on Saturday. I like Louisville here. I mean, it's a big number. Duke's coming off a thrashing over Syracuse where they just crushed the Orange, no pun intended, in that Saturday game on the road at the Carrier Dome. I'm not trusting them to have 40 minutes of focus and intensity to win this game by upwards of 20 points. I'm just not. So, ugly dog, do I expect Louisville to win? No. They probably – I don't think they'll win this game, but I do think they can hang. I see this as something like, I don't know, 76-64 for Duke. something like that, and that's going to cash a ticket here. It's just a lot of points in a potential sleepy spot for the Blue Devils. What do you think here, Connor?
I don't want to. You know what? Too makes it even more. Duke just shot it. Their best I saw all year against Syracuse. Um, and the more I went into that game, but man, I just had to back off. I wanted to take Syracuse, take them, and then I didn't. I was glad. And Duke, I thought, yeah, shot it well. There, you talked Louisville though. They shot it well against Clemson. This team, 83 points here. Look at the total. I don't want to touch the total at all. If Louisville scores, it may get over, but Duke's still slow. They haven't been going over at all. I'm going to stay off there. Is Duke a little flat? I was looking the first half here, plus 10.5. What do we get? Do they pull away the second? Is 18 enough? To me, it's the points or nothing here for me as well. So I just don't know if I want to go first half full game in this one.
Sorry there. I'm going to go full game, but I understand why maybe looking at the first half too, just in case, Duke wakes up in the second half and just drills. There is a talent gap, obviously, between these two teams, a pretty big one, but I just don't know.
One team's 0-8 on the road. One team's 13-0 at home. But, hey, Duke shoot it well. That, again, I don't think so. Well, with Roach, he had a really good game. Filipowski, I don't know. Big number. Give me the points.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, you don't want to always be backing teams off their best shooting performance of the season as a collective team, and that oftentimes is not something you want to do often. All right, Oklahoma State, West Virginia here in the Big 12. We've got West Virginia 6-point home favorites. 144.5 is the total in this one. We'll see how it plays out, but this West Virginia team, they've got two very good defensive teams. Neither team, is consistent enough making shots. That continues to be an issue for them. We'll see if they can pick it up here in this one, but definitely it's been an issue for both of these teams. Certainly the under makes a little bit of sense. So yet the total's been bet up here a little bit to 144.5. I'm a little surprised by that. I kind of like the Cowboys here a little bit. I know West Virginia, we know at home they can be pretty good. 11-4 they are at home, but they've lost 3 in a row. I faded them with Texas Tech on Saturday. I mentioned that on the Pub Hub on Saturday. And Texas Tech beat them outright. I mean, to me, West Virginia is not in the form to lay points with. And Oklahoma State, yeah, they've taken their lumps too. Back-to-back double-digit losses to Kansas and TCU. But, I think they bounced back and they're at least good enough to be competitive here in this one. So I like Okie State now that it's up to 6. What do you think here, Con?
This seems like a good spot for West Virginia, but the trust for me is not there. And you just mentioned you're on Texas Tech, and that was a solid look. This total, I think, is that high. Both these teams have just gone over. You know what I mean? West Virginia, 6 out of the last 7, and that one game would get over this number. And Oklahoma State, 8 of the last 10. This team's not playing the defense like they did the first, it's basically the month and a half. Hasn't been there. Does that all of a sudden change? I don't think so. West Virginia, 18-9 of the over all year long. I lean over. I know they've been without Anderson, for a while, and they played okay, and they played okay on the road. So I don't know. I think West Virginia wins here. It's just you're stretching it here at 6 to lay it. So I'm off. I'd lean over.
All right, lean over here. And it's true. You're right about that. And it's been defense that's, kind of not been as good lately. That's why they've been trending over the total. We'll see if that continues. Hawaii and Bakersfield next up. Hawaii, 6-point road favorites, 121 being the total in this game. Hawaii has had a very good season here in the Big West. I don't think there's much denial about that. They've been very solid, 19-8, but they're only 4-3 straight up in ATS on the road. And if you look at them away from home, laying points away from home, they've only done that, I think, once here in conference play. It was at Cal Davis. They lost outright. So that's the last time we saw Hawaii laying points on the road. I like Bakersfield here, +6. I do. Hawaii has not had a great track record. As good as they are, laying points on the road is not their point spread role. Making the long trip away from the island, going to the mainland, they have had some issues, in these kind of spots. Like I said, the loss at Cal Davis when they were laying 2 on the road earlier this season. So we'll see how they fare here against Bakersfield. Don't sleep on Bakersfield. They've played better. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, beating Riverside, which was a nice win, beating UCSD in overtime, a blowout win against Northridge, a win outright as dogs at Cal Poly in their last game. At Hawaii, they were 16-point dogs last month, and they gave Hawaii everything they could handle, only losing by 3. So Bakersfield, for me, I think this is another close game between these two teams. What do you think here, Conor?
Yeah, I bet this early this morning. I took the 6.5. I think 6 is enough here at home. Bakersfield struggles offensively, and that gets you, but they're a good free throw shooting team. If they can get to the line, they're all right from 3, 35%, and they've been better offensively as the year's gone on, where they had some really bad spots. Hawaii off the we talk about it, away off the big win just here to Long Beach, that 3-point win. I think this is tough for them. Like I said, I took the 6.5. I think this is a grinded game. Now, this total might be too low. Do we just get one of these ones 50, 60, or we get a little bit more points? Because if that, it'll go over probably by 10. But man, it's just if you get one of these struggles, it definitely could stay under. But I'd only look over it that it's this low now, especially if those foul shots. I guess if you like the under, it's a lot of these games, especially lately, first half has been the way to go. These second half fouls in some of these games of making games go over 55, 56% clip lately. So maybe look first half if you like the under, which I don't. Give me the points. Bakersfield, baby. You ever been to Bakersfield, Savannah? I don't think so. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I have not.
I've been there. I've seen their gym too. Hopefully it's rocking with Hawaii there. I need him today.
Yeah.
Come on.
I like Bakersfield here in this spot. Their gym is probably one of those rinky-dink gyms that we usually get in a conference like this. So I can envision it in my mind what it looks like, but definitely these kind of smaller school gyms. The over might be worth a look, actually, too. It's very low, and Bakersfield all of a sudden has gone over in 9 straight games. It's really remarkable to see it. I mean, 9 straight overs for Bakersfield, and we're, again, talking low 120s with this total. And Hawaii on the road, 137 against Long Beach, 125 against Cal Poly, 138 against Cal Davis total points, 130 against Riverside, and 144 against Irvine. Every road game's had more total points than this for Hawaii. So this total does seem like it's so low that it'll get over. It could get over.
It's come down. It just seems really low. I think they're going a lot off season totals, and they're not going to maybe shoot it well today. That's the only thing I could really look at because I do think it's low.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next up, Bakersfield and over. I think I might add the over too after seeing the results lately. All right, next up, Kansas, TCU, big one in the Big 12. TCU 2-point home favorites, 151.5 the total. The big news here for TCU is Mike Miles looks like he's going to play, and of course he's been banged up for the last little bit, but it looks like he is going to be in for TCU, which is significant. So this is a tough handicap from a side perspective. First thought for Kansas is this could go one of two ways for them. They're either in hangover mode after beating down Baylor in the second half on Saturday, or they refocus quickly to make this trip to Fort Worth and want to destroy a team that absolutely embarrassed them earlier this year at Fog Allen. And TCU laid an absolute beatdown on Kansas earlier this year at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. 83-60. Yeah, it was just non-competitive. I mean, Kansas was out of the game in the first half. Like, that is how bad that blowout was for TCU at Kansas. So I think it's tricky. I think you can make the case Kansas, you bet on them here. They're dogs. They're playing better. They want to beat TCU badly after what happened earlier this year. But it also could be, you know what? You had a huge win against Baylor at home. The ESPN cameras were there, College Game Day and all that shit. And now you're traveling to Texas in 48 hours and you got to play on the road. And now TCU's getting their best player back and the place will be rocking there in Fort Worth. So that makes me think maybe you look TCU, and TCU might have a matchup advantage because they did whatever the hell they wanted offensively against Kansas, whatever they wanted. And I don't know if that's going to change here necessarily. So I think it's a tough one from a side perspective. I don't have a strong feel for it one way or the other. The total, the same thing. Could be over. I could see it because, look, Kansas offense is going right now. When you look at it, when DeJuan Harris plays well. When Grady Dick plays well, Jalen Wilson and McCullough, and they're all going at the same time, they can light up the scoreboard, Kansas. So we'll see if that happens here tonight. But tricky game, I got to say, side and total, because I could see both sides. I could see either side of the total coming through as well. What do you think, Connor?
Tricky. Get it, little Run DMC there. Urbano. It's tricky.
Tricky,
All right.
tricky. Yeah, to bet this game, It's tricky. There you go.
Oh, shout out to Dave, Raging Cajuns. Yeah, I think it's tricky. I don't want to be involved. I looked at this so many ways because I think Kansas is more talented and they could just win after that crazy second half, being down whatever they were, 13 at halftime. And they're not even. I always go back. Miles is back. He played 35, 36 minutes just on Saturday. If he's in, because he can just do what he wants, at 19 points a game. I still go back. Cab mentioned it. I think you have the 29% from three. At some point, it could get him. But I think TCU, and then the revenge factor for Kansas after getting whipped by them, they got to be up for this. It's just either way. TCU home, I could look that way. First half, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to bet it. Watch it. Bet this live if you want to be involved.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a good game to just see how it starts, see how it unfolds, and then maybe you go from there with a plan of action. All right, next up we've got Minnesota and Illinois. Illini 15-point home favorites, 135.5 the total in this one. I mean, obviously Illinois, after losing at Indiana, I thought their effort was pretty good against Indiana. It was a close game, competitive game. They lost by 3. It's not easy to play the Hoosiers there in that building. Pretty good effort from them. But after 2 straight road losses, do they want to come back home and lay the wood to somebody? I think that could happen. I mean, Minnesota was just awful the last time they played each other at the barn in Minnesota, 78-60 for Illinois earlier this season last month. I don't know what changes here. I mean, Minnesota's been just horrendous. They're on a 9-game losing streak. They've covered the point spread just a couple of times during that span. But do I want to lay 15? Maybe Illinois first half. I would throw that out there. Maybe you can lay the points, even though it's 15, because you look at Illinois, 92-65, 94-63, 76-53, 78-60. The last 4 meetings, and Illinois won them all by a minimum of 18 points. So they have just absolutely drilled Minnesota repeatedly. Maybe you can lay the points. I'd certainly lay it before I take it. What do you think here, Conor?
Yep, I don't want anything to do with this game at all. You mentioned the beatdowns, team totals right at the number, right where they've scored 70, 76, blah, 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 78. Team total 75.5. I do think they lay the wood. I just don't want to lay 50. Minnesota's been just Jekyll and Hyde on the road, too. They've, played some close ones that have been low scoring, but defensively it's just gone to shit. These last couple of games on the road have just been beatdowns. 55-90. Was that in Maryland? Or no, at Rutgers, Northwestern, 81-61. Could be similar, 81-61 type game. So I don't want my money on Minnesota right now.
No, I don't blame you for that. It's not a team we're looking to back right now, that's for sure. All right, next up, we've got a few more games left on the main board. UC Irvine. It's a Big West kind of night. UC Irvine against Cal Poly. We've got Irvine, 11-point road favorites here, 130.5 being the total in this game. Of course, Cal Irvine in the Big West here. Looks like they are having a great season, 19-8, 7-5 on the road. Cal Poly, not so much. I mean, clearly a mismatch on paper. And Cal Poly is just, what have they lost? 10 straight games. The last 3, they've lost 83-62 at Fullerton, 70-62 against Bakersfield. And then the Matadors, Northridge, beat them by 11. So they haven't even been competitive. They're rolling along Irvine in this game. They come at the last road game they had was against Santa Barbara, another top tier team in this conference. They won by 11. It was extremely impressive. They had a 16-point win against UC San Diego. They've been good on the road. So I understand why Irvine's taking money. Kind of does feel like a whitewash. It feels like a, lopsided game. I do want to point out Irvine escaped with a 1-point win against Cal Poly at home earlier this year, just a couple of weeks ago. Cal Poly was 13.5-point dogs in this game. So Poly was right in that game here, but it doesn't mean that's necessarily going to be the case here. Poly's really fallen on hard times here. As far as the total goes, it's been, by the way, series history, 6 straight unders. So as you're thinking, maybe we see that continue here. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, and Cal Poly at home, just great under team, 17-9. I'm not gonna mess with it. It's come down to a little bit. Irvine's the better team, but this is moved too. 2 points basically. I don't think so. Irvine wins. Just do you want to lay these points? And do you want to back Cal Poly's bad offense? This team is not very good. They are at home. And you mentioned they've had some success. They've hung around almost this 10 points with them in the past. But I don't want them, even though I just don't want them tonight. So I'm off.
All right, off the game. All right, next up we've got Cal Riverside, motherfuckers. Cal Riverside and CS Northridge. Riverside, 7-point road favorites, 131 the total in this game. Had a couple winners with Northridge, but not the other night when they played. It was Saturday. They played against UCSD and they lost by 13. So I don't know if I'll go back to Northridge here. They are home underdogs though against Riverside. In this game. Let's see if they can fare a little bit better here in this matchup. But I don't know if they match up all that well necessarily with Riverside. You look at series history. Since the beginning of last year, we saw a 10-point, a 22-point, and a 23-point Riverside win over Northridge. Not exactly a sign of this team being able to compete with Riverside. So I'd probably lay the points. This is one road favorite I might look at here, Riverside. -6.5, -7 in this game because Northridge has been just walloped by this team repeatedly. What do you think here, C-Mac?
It is kind of a bad matchup. When I was going through everything, they just on the boards. Riverside's such a good rebounding team on both sides, and Northridge just small and bad. This team in the 300s, both of them. They don't shoot it well, so it's tough for me to back Northridge, who's played a little bit better, but they have some outings here. They're a home dog where this team scores 45 or 50 points. They're just so bad shooting it. And I would need doubles right now to look at Northridge. Riverside for me, got the win Saturday outright. I had a +3. Now lane 7. I mean, I think they win. They're the better team. You just got to lay the number.
I agree. And this one, again, it's 6.5, 7. I think it's moved to 7 now in most spots, but I think laying the points might still be a good option here. I think they take care of business. All right, final game of the main board. We've got CS Fullerton taking on UC Santa Barbara. Dun 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 dun. Santa Barbara, the Gauchos. We've got UCSB 6-point home favorites, 129 the total in this game. Of course, you've got Santa Barbara, who are having another good season. Every year, they're a contender to win the Big West. It shouldn't be a shock every year they're good in this conference. That's just the kind of program they've built every year. They're one of the best teams in this conference, just like Gonzaga and St. Mary's every year. They're right at the top of the West Coast Conference. Every year, Santa Barbara is right near the top of the Big West. And right now, they're in second in the Big West, trailing Irvine by 1 game. So for the purposes of winning the regular season title and earning the #1 seed in the Big West Conference tournament, this is an important game here for Santa Barbara. And I think it's important for another reason, too. They're off back-to-back losses against Irvine and Riverside coming into this game. So you would expect this Santa Barbara team to come back home and want to play much better basketball in this one. You know, the Gauchos are definitely struggling. No question about that. Whereas Fullerton is coming into this game on a 6-1 straight up, a 5-2 against the spread streak. They've played better basketball. There's no question about that. But I don't know if I'd want to back Fullerton here, even though they've been undervalued. They've been covering some numbers. This feels like for Santa Barbara coming back home after 2 losses, a chance to get well. And this is a pretty good home court that they've got here, the Thunderdome, as they call it. CS Northridge, they won by 20 on this floor. 18-point win against Bakersfield on this floor. 10-point win and cover against UC Davis on this floor in their last home game. I mean, it's been a pretty strong home court. And I wouldn't want to tempt going against the Gauchos here because I just got that feel they're going to bring it. You could even look Santa Barbara first half as well. Get it down to 3.5, and you might really see that as a good spot here off those 2 losses to really come out of the gate strong here on their home floor against Fullerton. So I'd look in that direction. Some kind of a split here with UCSB -3 first half, -6 full game. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, you could look in the first half, or I was even maybe bet this game live. The two losses is what just makes me because I like Fullerton and they've been playing some good basketball. Fullerton's got a pretty good defense. They shoot the three, decent too, 37%. I think that could keep them in this one. It's just Santa Barbara. You mentioned both these teams were good all year. When I took them, 18-7, Fullerton against the number. Santa Barbara 15-9. It's just that solid home spot, like a must win for Santa Barbara. Just the six, it's tough for me. So this is the late night one though. So I might wait. Like said earlier, bet live, but for now I'm off.
There we go. A pass for Conor with this one. All right, it's added board time. Q&A, and there may not be much Q&A for anybody because there's not many added board games. We may have enough opinions on our own, but if you got questions, now's the time. Conor, any games from the added board that you like?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I'm not gonna touch it, I don't think, but it's already moved too much. The Howard Morgan State, so I'm gonna stay off. This one's moved, Bavano, and I can't get it. Maryland Eastern Shore 10-1 at home. It's moved to 2.5. I was hoping this hit 3. I don't think so. Now I see a few twos, the little bit of buyback. North Carolina Central, they played a 59-58 game earlier. So there's a little revenge, but you're going to have them win by 3 here on the road. I think you take Maryland Eastern Shore. The line move I do not love, but this team at home has been good all year, been good for me, and they're against the spread numbers. Great. Let's keep rolling. I got it. This one, I didn't bet it Saturday and they lost. Mississippi Valley State, but covers 4 of 5. You want to lay 11 points with Prairie View? They are the better team, but no way. 18-10 against the number is Mississippi Valley State, and this team's horrible. They're like 1-18. They're not going to win you games on the road, but I think that number's inflated, and I haven't bet it, but I think if you take the 11 with Mississippi Valley State, they can hang around in that one. That was about it. I have a couple other leans, but go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It should be interesting to see how this goes here in this matchup or in these.
In that game, dude, the last 3 meetings, 3-7. There was an OT game decided by 2. They played some close games, Mississippi Valley State, and that's when they were horrible.
Yeah,
really, really bad, and they're still bad, but at least they're covering some numbers this year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I don't like the added board much. I like that total that's moved in Howard Morgan State. But it's over 140. I got to give it at 148 now, 148.5, because I got 146 on it. So it's moved. Coppin and Norfolk, I think, could get over 154. You're right. The thing that's going to maybe keep me off Maryland Eastern Shore is NC Central had a double-digit lead and lost to Maryland Eastern Shore at home earlier this year. This is a meaningful revenge spot. When you're up by double digits on a team and you blow it, you want to beat them the next time. And I think NC Central, maybe that's why they're betting NC Central here. But at the same time, you mentioned it, Maryland Eastern Shore is a freight train at home. I'm not going against them at home either. So that's why I'm off that game. It's a tricky game. And I like that NC. That coach has been there forever. He's a great coach. Lavelle Moten. Nobody talks about him. He's been there forever. And they're always one of the better teams in this conference, every single year, the MEAC. And he does a really nice job there with that program, NC Central, year in and year out. That's pretty much it. I mean, I like the 2 overs I mentioned, the Howard game and the Coppin State game. I could make a case for Texas Southern, but it's up to 7 now. It's just too high in that one. Yeah, Mississippi Valley State, I don't hate that, plus 11. They've actually snuck inside the number a couple of times here. Nichols over. Nichols State's usually a team I like over the total. I don't mind that. I actually might bet that myself at 144. It's a reasonable number, 144.5 with A&M Commerce against Nichols State. I could see the over cash in there.
Those totals, I was going through all these games. Is this too high enough for the under? Because Commerce has gone a little bit over. That one, I'm going to stay off. That was a back and forth for me when I was going through it today on the total.
Yeah, sometimes the best decision to do, is just don't bet the game. And that's exactly what we are seeing right now in that one. It's, but 144.5, I would still look at the over. Might be worth a look in that game. All right, that's it. I mean, we've got, like I say, a short card, a little bit of a shorter show. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow, and we'll have the Tuesday card. And as always on Tuesday, a lot of high major power conference teams in action on Tuesday night. So looking forward to that. Hit the like button, 200 live viewers. We'll be back to wrap with best bets right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com, promo code PubSports, 20% off and free shipping using promo code PubSports. All right, it is best bet time now to wrap up this Monday edition of the show. Conor, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, well, there's a few 8s in this UC San Diego. I think they cover there versus Davis, but I told you already, Bakersfield plus 6.5. I think they cover. If you can't get the half, there's 6s out there. I think they cover against Hawaii.
That's a good one. Yep, CS Bakersfield plus 6.5 against Hawaii. Best bet for Conor Mack for this Monday card. My best bet for this slate here. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Riverside here, minus 6.5. There is a 6.5 out there. Riverside, motherfuckers. UC Riverside here, minus 6.5 against Northridge. Like I say, I think this is the right time to jump ship. Because Northridge has just been dummied over and over again by this Riverside team. The price is reasonable on the road to back it. Highlanders of Riverside, minus 6.5 against CS Northridge for my best bet for this Monday card. I think this is probably the first time I've used a Big West game for best bet this entire season. But it's a Big West kind of night. I mean, they figured, you know what? Monday's a light night. We need to spotlight this conference a little bit more. To get the word out there and get people's eyes and attention on it. So put it on a Monday when it's a light card. And I think that's what they're doing here with the Big West. Big West
it's
Monday
good conference.
Night. Sure. Yeah, it's good.
I like all these conferences, though.
They're right in your
like
backyard.
college basketball.
Yeah, exactly. This is we've watched all those teams for years. The Riversides and your Cal Davis and Northridge, Irvine and Santa Barbara and Long Beach. They've usually been the heavyweights of this conference. But yeah, Big West basketball's been around for a very long time. All right, great stuff. We're going to put a wrap on this show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the show. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we'll talk to you again on Tuesday for another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.
Palooza 2 on the horizon. We're going to have live shows popping off in the Southtown 101. We're going to have a poker tournament, a par 3 golf tournament, UFC San Antonio on the Saturday night. A lot of excitement. Palooza 2, baby.